During the COVID pandemic, members of the community accomplished a major task. Not only did they build a Holocaust museum, but also an entire Jewish museum.
It's an intersection of the new and the old. The Holocaust Museum of Porto opened its doors in 2021, offering free admission to students and adults alike.
What I can tell you is that most Portuguese families know that they have some kind of Jewish background. The key way that our community can fight anti-Semitism, not only today, but for the future, because we're talking about young people here, is through education. And we're very proud of the fact that in 2 years, we've had 100,000 school students here, which represents 20% of the school population in Portugal. Emily, I want to show you this very special room, our memorial room. It has the names of 32,000 victims of the Holocaust.
The museum's director, Michael Leo Rothwell, has a personal connection to the Holocaust.
Leonhard Bock, this is my grandfather. My middle name is Leo, in memory of him. And just a bit further along is Elsa Bock, my grandmother.
Wow.
And as I mentioned to you earlier, it's a source of comfort to have my grandparents remembered here. My mother and my uncle managed to leave Berlin on the Kindertransport in April and May 1939. I'm absolutely certain that it was as a result of Kristallnacht that my grandparents decided that the children had to leave urgently.
Did she ever talk about it?
Very little indeed. She didn't want to talk about it.
What many people don't realize is that Portugal was an important stopover for Jewish refugees trying to flee Nazi Europe.
In June 1940, when Hitler conquered Paris, all the Jews in Europe realized they were no longer safe in Europe. They had to leave Europe for the Americas or for Palestine. And the only way to do that was to travel to Portugal. As you know, Spain and Portugal were neutral countries during the war, and it was possible if you had a visa.
Even though the Portuguese government was against it, as many as 150,000 Jewish refugees came through Portugal, many of whom as a result of a brave Portuguese consul in France.
It's well known the heroic activity of Aristides Sousamenges, who against orders wrote many visas so that Jewish refugees could be saved and could get to Portugal. He decided to follow his conscience, and he wrote thousands of visas in a few days and a few nights after being pleaded to by a rabbi.
Even though the Jewish community has since flourished in Porto, the history of anti-Semitism is repeating itself. The synagogue was vandalized on March 11th, 2022, in what is now dubbed the Day of Shame.
These are local, specific, momentaneous incidents. We cannot disregard this, of course, but if we concentrate on these kind of things, we are feeding the hate feelings. Don't silence the crimes, but not too much, giving too much importance to something that really is not meaningful. Breves palavras para agradecer.
The Jewish community of Porto held a ceremony on the annual European Day of Jewish Culture. But in the shadow of October 7th, anti-Semitic protests and violence have only increased, forcing the Holocaust and Jewish museums to temporarily close for safety reasons. But everyone is trying to remain hopeful for a better future.
It must be said that this impact we've had is thanks to the effort of the Portuguese school teachers. They have come from all over the country to bring their students here, realizing the difference it would make. And so the work we've been doing here has a huge impact on the future citizens of Portugal, and our hope is that, of course, those citizens will grow up and understand something about Judaism, something about what the Jews have been through.